Presenting research on implementing a firewall for small business environment are Paden Lewis and Kamou Harris. Their mentor is Dr. Lavanya Mandava. I'll turn it over to you.
Hello, I'm Paden Lewis, and this is implementing a firewall for a small business environment.
Hello, I'm Kamou Harris. So the overview of our project. First, we're focused on the focus of our project. What is a firewall? The importance of securing a small business. How our project involved and how it is structured. Why OpenSense? Small business statistic and recent attacks. The project description, our demo, and our plans moving forward.
So we are cybersecurity majors at QU who have grown to love this field. We are excited for the opportunities that QU will provide for us in the workforce, and we wanted to use this capstone to get hands-on experience and start working with firewalls. So our group has worked tirelessly to learn about firewalls, how they work, how to configure one virtually or manually, and also how to install one. We also researched the effects of cyber attacks on small businesses.
The focus of our project, to learn about firewalls and how to configure them. Inform possible business owners on the importance of cybersecurity. Configuring OpenSense from scratch with a hardwire-based firewall.
So in order for you guys to follow along, I have to explain what a firewall is for people who don't really know. So whenever you have a network, you have traffic coming in and out, you have to have something to protect that information that could be sensitive or just information you don't want to get out. So you have a firewall, which is the first line of defense in your network. It keeps data and sensitive information confidential and can help block certain sites or IPs from being accessed or you accessing them. You can think of a firewall as a dam. So here's an example of a firewall. We have our modem or router. Most days modems and routers are the same thing, they're combined now. And then you have them run an Ethernet cord into the firewall, which that is up top, it says OpenSense router. And you plug that into a switch, and the switch is for that. If you have a lot of computers, you can plug each and every one of them up to the switch so that you don't have to be limited by the ports on the firewall. And then for our project, we just connected the Ethernet cord directly from the switch to the PC.
So, the importance of securing a small business. With a cyber attack rising and increasing, most businesses owners are adapting to the future to keep their customer and company information secure. So, small businesses, local and across the nation, are not gearing up for possible cyber attacks. So, this could be very scary.
So why is this? Most small business owners think they don't have the notoriety or they're too small to be attacked, and that only the attackers care about the large businesses with, the large amount of customer base and all that information. But what hackers really see is an easy target. That's why when these attackers attack these small businesses and get easy ransomware, get easy information, this results in small businesses falling victim to crippling attacks each and every year. So this is how our project evolved. First semester, we installed a hypervisor, which is called VMware Workstation Pro. And what a hypervisor is that you can install operating systems such as Windows or Apple operating systems, and that you can install that into our application. What we did is we took Linux, which is a different operating system, and we installed about 4 to 5 of those operating systems on the VMware Workstation Pro. Now this is not a free software. Thanks to the QU Quest Cache, we were able to purchase this with their help. And then we installed OpenSense on this as well. And then we had all these 4 operating systems running through OpenSense, and we simulated a small business network our first semester. But this semester, we wanted to take a different approach and take it one step further. What we did is with the help of Quest Cache again, we bought a Protectly mini PC, which comes with nothing on it. There's no operating system, and we installed OpenSense onto this. And once we did that, we plugged it into one of the routers in the firewall room in the cybersecurity lab. Then we plugged it up into a switch and also plugged it into our own hardware that the IT department provided.
So how we structure our project this semester. With our hardware, we begin limited. We had to greatly reduced the small environment that we intended to set up. We used the Prototype Mini PC as our firewall and paired it with a switch that allowed us to connect two computers in the same network. If we had the resources, space, and time, we could easily expand the network if we needed to. So why OpenSense? OpenSense is an open source and very customizable software that puts it above the rest. Due to customability, interface, and options, it can be used for home networks and small and large businesses. OpenSense is a fork of pfSense and was released in 2015, but has been gaining popularity over the time.
So here are shocking facts about small businesses. So 51% of small businesses have no cybersecurity measures at all. 27% of small businesses with no cybersecurity protections at all collect credit card information from their customers. This is just, it's ridiculous that these small businesses have this sensitive information but have no protections against it. And 42% of small business owners have no cyber attack response plan. So if they do get attacked, they have no response to it. They just either pay the money and then they most likely go out of business because they don't have the capital that these large businesses have.
So, 46% of all cyber breaches impact businesses with fewer than 1,000 employees. 37% of companies hit by ransom had fewer than 100 employees. 82% of ransomware attacks in 2021 were against companies with fewer than 1,000 employees.
And what ransomware is that it is a cyber attack that you can think of it as a ransom. Hackers or attackers will get into the network and they will steal or lock sensitive information from the business owners or the people that have that information. And they say you have to pay this sum or this fee in order to get this information back. And if they don't pay it, then they just don't get it back and risk it getting leaked to the dark web. So usually when a ransomware happens, most businesses pay that, and when you're a small business and you're having to pay these sums, you're left with, basically you're getting crippled by that. Because 75% of small businesses that could not continue operating if they were hit by a ransomware attack. 51% of small businesses that fall victim to the attack pay the money. Now most businesses do pay this money, but the other 49% that don't have it because it's just such a high fee that they just don't have that capital. And 95% of cybersecurity incidents at small businesses cost between $826 and $653,587. So
some of the recent attacks that we came upon was the Lincoln College cyber attack. Unfortunately, they had to close down because of some ransomware attack, but luckily they came to QU, so that's good. So the next one is the Quincy City Hall cyber attack. This was pretty bad because taxpayers had to pay a lot of money to upgrade their cybersecurity department. But Quincy's now equipped for the next cyber attack. Hopefully, not near in time soon. But thank God they have a good team.
So this is our project description. With the help of QuestCache, as we said earlier, provided by QU, we were able to purchase the hardware for our firewall. We were able to download OpenSense, which is a free software as we mentioned, and then we burned this onto a flash drive, which we then took and installed that software onto the firewall. Once we did that, we were able to start updating and configuring the firewall to our liking.
Updating and installing features. The first step before installing anything or enabling anything is updating the software to its latest version. We then installed a plugin to change how OpenSense looked and then went into and installed the IDS and the IPS features.
Now, what IDS and IPS means is IDS is intrusion detection system and IPS is intrusion prevention system, which is a very necessary thing for a firewall if you want it to protect or detect any attacks coming. So we have two ports, which are the WAN port, which is the wide area network. It's all the internet traffic that is outside of your Wi-Fi, outside of your Ethernet connection. And then we installed Suricata on that, which is a intrusion prevention and detection system. Suricata is open source and a threat detection and network analysis tool used by many organizations, and is very popular. For our local area network, also known as LAN, that's for the connections that are inside the network, all of your computers that are connected with Ethernet, just like in our network. So we use ZenArmor, which is a plugin that's more customizable and more in-depth. ZenArmor is a plugin for OpenSense that gives administrators customizable control in regard to blacklisting and what users do on the LAN. ZenArmor can be used to block or filter web/application traffic, which can prevent many malware attacks. And this is our demo.
Hello, and this is our firewall configuration. So here we have the main setup. We have our Protect Lead firewall that has around 120 gigabytes of SSD, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and we have our setup to where we have a keyboard in here. We have a VGA adapter right here, and we have these two cords. So this cord right here, the white one, feeds into the router, and this yellow Ethernet feeds into the switch. And as we come over here, here's the setup. This is the shell. This is the shell for the OpenSense firewall. So this is where you can do different commands. You have all these different attributes you can set. You can do all sorts of stuff from here. I use this specifically to update from console, but I use the GUI interface to upgrade and install plugins.
You're following over here. So over here is our simulation of our small business network. Over here is our switch. These two computers are connected to our switch, which is connected to our firewall. The firewalls help us protect us from outside network. Due to hardware constraints, we're only allowed these two computers.
But due to our setup, if we were able to have a larger switch or more hardware, we'd be able to just plug and play any amount of computers we need to. This here is an example of the OpenSense GUI. So here we have all our running services. Right now I have the intrusion detection Suricata running on the WAN connection. I also have this right here called ZenArmor, which protects the LAN specifically from any outside threats. So here we can go into system, firmware, plugins, and here we have all our plugins that we've installed. As you can see, here we have our interface that are up. This is our WAN interface, 10.200.2.53. Our LAN is this. This is our default gateway. This computer's IP address is 192.168.1.101. And then this computer to our left is 1.192.168.1.102. So as you can tell, as you can see that our firewall's default gateway is now branching off to both of these computers, which shows that it's connected and running under the firewall. Right here we have our firewall log that shows anything that's either accepted through the network or anything that's not allowed. Here I'll show you guys some rules that we have applied. We have some LAN rules applied that really just relates back to our blacklist we installed, and also ZenArmor, which we have as well.
So the main challenge we had to overcome for this semester is that our goal first semester after configuring it virtually is we wanted to connect all the computers in the cybersecurity room, but due to them being on their own network, we didn't want to potentially harm them. So the IT department graciously let us use 2 computers to simulate our network, and it worked flawlessly. So that's the main challenge we had to overcome. It sucks that we couldn't expand it how we'd like to, but we did with what we had. And this project moving forward, this project can be expanded upon if more students decide to take a similar route. You can expand the environment if you're able to get more Quest cache or more hardware from the IT department, where you can make a larger network or potentially even use a whole lab of old computers that are on campus. You can do that and expand it. You can prevent or administer an attack. There's an operating system called Kali Linux, which has a bunch of malicious programs on it that you can use to attack networks and stuff of that nature. You can use it for ethical hacking and try to get into the network and see if that works. And also you can just dive further into OpenSense software. Doing this project, we scratched the surface of OpenSense. It's just so expansive, and all the plugins that you can use to protect your small business, large business, school, university, or even your elementary, middle school, high school. There's just so many options and avenues you can take with this software. So those are the things you can do moving forward to expand this project. So our plans moving forward, this fall I'll be pursuing my Master's of Science in Cybersecurity and finishing my athletic career at Southeast Missouri State University. I couldn't have done it without the foundation that QU cybersecurity program has instilled in me.
For me, I'll be pursuing my soccer career in the next level. And I also want to say thank you to the wonderful Dr. Mandala for being patient and sticking with us. Thank you.
And for Grant, who couldn't be here, he's currently working as a network technician and following his dream of working in cybersecurity. He wrote that he's looking forward to see what our futures hold for us and our group. Any questions?
Did you guys look into any techniques or strategies that cyber attackers use to get into a system?
When it comes to that, we really didn't look into that because for this semester we were just trying to learn about firewalls and how to configure them. Moving forward, I will be looking more into OpenSense and trying to look at getting into a firewall how a hacker would, just to see what ways we can prevent certain attacks. But yeah, mostly this project was just mostly about just learning about firewalls, setting one up, and being able to configure the rules and stuff of that nature.
To also expand on your question, for just any type of like cyber attacks or anything, the best way most cyber attackers get into your information is by your junk email. If you open emails that you don't know, be careful about that, because clicking on those can lead to viruses on your computer, and they can steal your information. So just be careful on stuff like that.
Okay, I have two questions.
Yeah.
You used 3 different pieces of software. One of them was OpenSense. Did you change the passwords on the administrators to be able, when you set up the software, did you change the administrative passwords from the default?
Yeah, we did.
Because that's one of the most common ways that people get in there.
Yeah.
The other one, do you see malware as a more attack than things like denial of service? What do you think the greatest threat is to small businesses as far as the different ways that they would go after them?
I mean, yeah, I would definitely say malware and viruses that you get from the junk emails, because you have people that will get into their email, they'll see something, they'll click on it, and then all of a sudden you have someone in your network trying to steal your information. So yeah, it's a lot of phishing, vishing, and smishing attacks that are very dangerous and detrimental to small businesses the most, because they're very simple. And there's even attacks where you go, they send you a link and you think you're on a website, but in all actuality you're not. You're on a fake version of that website. You can put in your password, your username, and now the attackers have your information and can log in to your either banking information, if it's a fake banking site, or things of that nature.
What determines how effective a firewall is?
So I guess it would just come down to the, I guess, no attacks being, going through with them, because, I mean, the thing is with the firewall, you want to just install as many rules as you can for, and just having all of these, you just want to have all these rules set so that nothing can really happen, and that even whenever something does happen, you have rules, or you have, a backup of something that you can make sure it's protected. Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Let's assume that you were being attacked and you could see that the attack was happening in progress and you wanted to prevent it, and your configuration as it was now was not preventing this attack. What sort of methodology would you use for identifying the attack, and how, and I'm not familiar with OpenSense, how in OpenSense would you design a mitigation for the attack in progress?
I mean, if we install all these rules and we weren't able to prevent the attack, then we would just have to, I guess, research more about it. Coming down to the methodology, we weren't really looking into that, really. We were just looking into the firewall aspect of it. Obviously, we were still learning more about this stuff and how to prevent attacks. This could also be something that can be expanded upon, is what to do whenever an attack is going through currently. So that is something we can expand further upon in the project. Yeah, me think.
What kind of rules, I'm sorry, did you have something you wanted to say, Kamou?
No, you don't.
Okay. What sort of rules did you install on your firewall, and while it was running, what sort of traffic did you see your firewall blocking while you were running it?
So we had one rule we had where we enabled a blacklist that we got from a GitHub form that it updates, I think, every 2 days, where it has certain malicious sites or IPs, and we installed that blacklist into our rules that prevented any site from those IPs to access our network. And so we saw whenever we tried to access those networks, as in our firewall, it just denied that traffic completely.
Did you find it easy to edit the blacklist? Because I work with schools a lot of times, and all these sites will be blacklisted. A lot of times they'll have QU even blacklisted. Did you find it easy to get in there and edit it?
Yeah, we mostly didn't edit it. We just already used a blacklist that was already created. ZenArmor also has it to where it has certain controls on the LAN as well, where it has a moderate, strict, or free control. We use the moderate, which is a lot of what schools, small businesses, and large businesses use, that like keeps not safe for work stuff out as well, and also malicious sites.
Yeah, I'll also make a comment. I've ran into the problem with people using virtual private networks, that the businesses will just blacklist them for no reason other than they just see a lot of traffic coming from me if they're having trouble. So then you have somebody that's trying to come in from VPN and you're blocked. I've actually seen that. So that the dynamics of a blacklist and the quality of it, like Susan was talking about, is we need to find some alternatives to just blacklisting IPs.
I know you said businesses lose money because they don't have a firewall, so would installing a firewall be more expensive than the money they would lose without it?
Yeah, installing a firewall might be expensive, like installing now, but it will save you in the long run if you install a firewall, because you'll be protected from ransomware.
It also comes down to if you hire these people, if you hire cybersecurity technicians and people to protect your network, it's a lot more cost effective to do that than potentially being hit by ransomware and then your business is shut down completely.
Some of your answers to your other questions, I guess, led me to this question. When you're configuring rules, it sort of sounds like OpenSense maybe is more of a platform. I gather that it's a software firewall rather than the hardware firewall. I guess, first of all, why did you choose a software firewall platform rather than a hardware firewall platform? And when you're configuring rules, did everything you configured sort of come in the form of open source packages, or did you have some like an ACL where you were defining rules based on protocol, a more traditional firewall setup?
Yeah, so when we first started using OpenSense, we were just researching OpenSense software and firewall softwares we could use. OpenSense was one of the first ones we saw that was free. And then learning about firewalls over the semester, we learned that when we started configuring it and stuff of that nature, that this was a lot more customizable for us. It was also a lot more simpler to get into firewalls because of the software that was provided. This is our first time ever working on them, so OpenSense was really a gateway into now us learning more about firewalls and stuff of that nature. And for the rules coming in, it was mostly open source stuff, like you said. It wasn't really access control lists, so we can expand upon that as well.
So I'm not too much into the technology side on like exactly what most is secure, but I can understand that the firewall is definitely important. But do you think there's other software, including for businesses, that can even protect them anymore, since they're on the growing stages and being able to they don't want to get a bad reputation? So do you know any other software that would be good for them?
The first one that comes to mind is the virus scanners, like Norton. So small business could use that to scan their network and see what's up. So, yeah.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Paden and Kamou.